beaming into your mind like a ray of cosmic revelation, smoshing through the mainstream like a comet of prophecy. Hail Thurisaz, hail Tyr, hail Vrilock. Lords and ladies, welcome to my show. Tonight's episode, Mind Money Psionic Masters. Hope you're all doing wickedly well. As for me, I'm chilling like a villain. The world is my oyster, and all things are moving forward as I have foreseen. It might not always seem this way on the surface of formalities across the mainstream networks, but rest assured that this is indeed Planet Vrilock, where you have arrived this evening. Dock your ships, land your drone, park your flying cars, and like you, I've got my mind on my money and my money on my mind. Speaking of which, Mind Money Psionic Mastery is of particular interest this evening. If you have listened to some of my podcasts for the past 2 months, then you are well aware that money is a mental construct. Not just energy, not just a force. It is a mental construct, and it is shared, at least in the mental realm. Because this is the truth. We who embrace psionics can work with money as a living force and bend the world in ways the average daydreamer can, well, only dream of. Therefore, it is time, high time, to get all of you trained up and ready to squeeze the globe for precious Starbucks, gems, rare books, resources, technologies, and treasure galore. Yes, Harry Potter, wand at the ready? So without further ado, let us begin. Most notably in the pursuit of mind money is the talent of manifestation, though as I've mentioned in previous episodes on this show, the entire area of manifestation is filled with holes and flaws. Most of what we want is manifesting in some other parallel potential, and while we dump exhaustive rituals into the astral realms, on the physical plane we can scarcely make par. Thus being the case, the world is poorly prepared for launching magical powers for drawing in wealth in any serious abundance, riches galore, and monies. Thankfully, as I've said, not a dozen times, but once or twice, which should have been sufficient, that one need not possess all the wealth in the world to control it. And as we focus our attention on the world circuit, to bring that money back to society, spreading the good power of the mighty Feihu rune to the woolly masses, the probability approaches unity that the state will comply with the demands of our psychic minds. We are seeing the reds and blues come to an agreement at long last. Took them long enough, didn't it, to pass a $1.9 trillion deal to refurbish the unemployed and build back society. Yeah, talking about build back better. Well, it's only built back better the Vrilockian way. Yes, well, a new acceptance of cryptocurrencies is going viral, not only fulfilling the dreams of the general public, but so also are the big O companies investing in crypto. altcoins and stablecoins in an all-new digital parallel. Well, not quite parallel yet, but we'll get there. Stocks spiked after one evening of my working with the world circuit. Those of you in my club might understand if you've been paying attention to my lessons. Yes, one evening of working my world circuit MAGICK technique to usher back in the mind, money, magic. Prior to this, the QQQ had become the new number of the beast. However, overnight, when London closed and Wall Street rocked the world, that's right, the big old QQQ has some new socks. I'm talking about SOXX, baby. That is both the big tech, QQQ, and semiconductors, SOX, are seeing a buying trend return to their respective markets. Don't thank me just yet. This is merely an incentive. However, when it comes to putting a little coinage into your pocket, we have to do some extra working with the state of mind we carry around with ourselves regularly, day in and day out. And while I say day in and day out, I am not leaving out the night owls, as I happen to be a night crawler myself. One of the things to do is trust your magic. I speak of this quite often in the philosophical teachings within my club. Hail Vrilock! Embrace your magic. I work with the runes as one of my alternative magical systems to my preference of psionics. Therefore, wherever I travel, and this is very personal to me, by the way, travel to and fro, I bring my runes with me. I will draw out my runes when I have my coffee in the morning and sort through my runes, rehashing through their various names, retrospective of the lore I have studied through for a dozen years now, and as a matter of course reaffirm the rune might. Odin Vilive, Hugin Munin, hammer, hallow, and hold this holy stead in me and of me, Asgard and Midgard. Today I work the runes aright, so mote it be. Yes. Nam ek upruno pandinam. The runes are great. I reaffirm these rune and runa might that I carry with me in my mind, tied to my solar plexus and within my aura psychically. If I have a question, I can pull out a rune for an answer. If I'm confused, I have my pendulum in my belt bag. Every wizard should have a belt bag and a pendulum. And I use this to consult the higher self to bring some clarity to my wonders. So if you're wandering and you happen to wonder about where you're wandering, there's nothing like having a pendulum with you, albeit you could carry a compass. If you saw me live at Evil Expo, you know I did a rune casting right on the spot. I was asked to do it on the spot, and I performed with 100% accuracy for my host. I also pulled out my Psionic flashlight and projected my presence into her room, where a light then lit up in her room upon my remote presence manifesting. Yes, I in California, she in Pennsylvania. Instantaneous is the travel power potential of our thoughts. And as I said, my rune casting perfected. Was able to tell her where she's at by working with these runes. And I've done this for a very long time. I take this art very seriously. Nothing detours my mind from magic. I can help you achieve the same magical lifestyle. These abilities can be yours. I will teach you in my club at vrilock.club. Keep the magic high. My book, Psionic Necromancer, will give you access to the disembodied personalities of geniuses from times of yore, who had made discoveries or who were themselves accurate forecasters of futures, trades, and trends which brought them wealth and riches. You can bring together all your magic into a balanced, sacred, geometrical circuit with my miraculous prayer board mini. Simply beautiful. Beautiful magic and 100% safe. Read through my Vrilock practical guides to absorb the totality of my magical life journey and do the retrospective path working so that you can own the magic journey yourself. Isn't it about time you were empowered for a change? Well, you can be and you should be. There should be nothing holding you back. And I'm going to talk about that a bit tonight too. This is not merely a commercial. I'm going to give you some real meat here in tonight's podcast. However, let us continue a bit. For those of you who would like to put some of the world's wealth into your personal bank accounts, we need to do a little more work than simply influence the body social or enchant the all-inclusive world circuit. For us, there is nothing more invaluable than a facilitator and a band of servitors to get work done and reel in the big sawbucks. For this purpose, I have recorded my fabulous audiobook, Fantastic Facilitators, to bring about spirit creatures without any ritual haggling. None at all. And entities which will travel ahead of ourselves into the future to smooth our road of life. It's simple. And it's effective. It's psionic power. No ritual needed. As well, for the more intermediate level technomancer, I have authored a fully illustrated book, one of a kind, about psionic robots, which are, what are psionic robots? Well, I'm going to tell you. They're powerful radionic machines built to house servitor-like qualities and attributes of spirits, while also being fine-tunable for very specific operations involving thought crystallization. Did you know that thought crystallization can save you the time of having to visualize a thought form? Well, it's in my books. And there's more in my club. How about literal values, variable values, and conditional rates across platforms and consoles and psionic gadgetry? Now, for the more advanced magician, I have authored the book Psionic Splicing. Chaos magicians and ritualists will enjoy making a transition, and I make this transition very easy, a transition into the world of technomancy, psionics, by studying my methodology of emphasizing qualities we want while removing any of the spirit energies that we do not need in our operations. Yes, in the days of old, medieval magicians had to compromise, sacrifice, use wards and protections. No longer. So with sonic splicing, the magician can do away with the usual precautions, the appeasing of the gods, and reverence for, a vast variety of god forms, demons, and wandering spirits with simple psionic methods built upon subtle processes of careful dowsing. My secret of tethering a string of rates across platforms and gadgets, and integrating my secret of splicing into the world of psionic magic. Nobody else will teach you this. Only me. What unfolds for the studious magician and wizard of psionics is incredible power. And I will let you in on one of my most prized secrets, though. I do on occasion reveal my secrets on YouTube. That's because Vrilock loves you. Vrilock is all generous. But this one is very important for all of my students to learn right now. The reason the world circuit bends to my will, and aside from my talents, everybody has talents, lending me the aptitude for transforming world trends and moving affairs forward or backward, slowing them down, speeding them up, standing them on their head. There is a simple process of transforming one's state of mind to work the noosphere and the body social, and transform scientific discoveries with our remote presence and psionically supercharged projections of mind. That secret is that I simply practice bending the world every single day. I don't even doubt my abilities at all. I don't think about it. I just do it. And because I have cultivated this attitude for somewhere like 40 years now, I am able to move entire economic systems, or to some degree, regional weather patterns, piece of cake, and even influence the solar system to a degree of some competence. That power is the very same power you will use to make money. So pay attention. Of course, if you really need help fast, and if you don't have time to study and practice my philosophy and methods, which do take some time, I do have for you a special offer. I have a private projects request form that you may access on my contact page of my website. Go to vrilock.com/contact. Simply scroll down past the ordinary general public contact form and find that button which displays the following: Request Private Project. Click on that button, fill out your form, and I will consider your project and budget to work with. All right, so for the majority of us, we don't have the kind of funds to hire a psionics professional like myself. It's simply too expensive to buy Vrilock as some kind of a mercenary. And by the way, I'm going to give you some of the bare bone basics to establish yourself as a seasoned mind money master. The first thing to realize is that you will need to cultivate this powerful state of mind. It's number one. One needs to think great in order to be great. It is a life decision. To better explain, go over in your mind the kinds of things that ordinarily get you feeling down or discouraged. I'll go first. I used to be one of those kinds of people who would feel incredibly down, really bad if I lost any money. If I invested and made a mistake, that feeling of loss would well up in my chest and linger in my aura for quite some time. Well, this was a very unhealthy mentality that I had to learn to overcome when I was younger. And if we don't overcome this, then we start to pursue the path of the loser. We don't want to be losers, we want to be winners. You know, the same thing goes for when we work with God forms or angels, demons and devils and wandering spirits, is we want to work with winners. Therefore, ourselves should also cultivate the mind of a winner. The way in which I transformed myself was entirely a state of empowered mind and a continuous practice of letting go of those things which bothered me. The bottom line is that I retrospect frequently to a point in time where I made a very powerful and final decision in my life. that decision has been the following, and I quote, "I am success. I am the embodiment of success. I will always be a success." End quote. You can write that down. Use it as your mantra. You tell your mind this once or twice, 3 times, you won't believe it. But if you tell yourself 300 times, then you got it pat down. And quite literally, I mean this. I believe it 100%. I have no doubt. The reason I believe this is because I realize that the world will always challenge us with what we all call circumstances. And there are always parameters in this reality matrix system that we call conditions, such as certain limitations placed upon us, or even manifesting as obstacles without and before us. But, in having said this, there are so many means by which to cleanse and clear a path ahead of our road of life that the notion of getting hung up on a real downer day is something, well, ridiculous. And once we realize this, we can look back and laugh at ourselves like, oh, why did I even doubt for a moment? It all begins with you. For me, here's another thing about me. I've never enjoyed going to a public office, particularly any kind of government administrative office such as immigration, going overseas, going to immigration, the DMV, courthouses, municipal buildings, and so on. And I had to think about the reason why. And I discovered the reason for this disposition I have is that, well, quite frankly, these places that I just mentioned, they seem rather unnatural and out of place to my spirit. So I would take this to heart, that I really felt repelled by going to school for 12 years, the kiddie prison, basically, courthouses, anything. And when I reflect on what I have read or watched in old films about how society once worked, more like circles rather than the square slabs of concrete that we exist in today, I mean, this is part metaphorically. And I mean this metaphorically in part, as once upon a time, the community was the witness to such important things like marriage and childbirth and distribution of property, distribution of wealth, of course, used to be things like cattle and horses. Today, everything is run by the almighty state. So for me, in order to make a trip to a public or government facility, an office of law, and the likes of the devil, I really must refashion in my own mind that I am taking a journey. This is an adventure, and I will make the most out of this trip. I'm accustomed to losing things, folks. This world, I'll fight for my place in it, but I'm not going to get hung up if I find myself facing the end of this incarnation. If my life is towards the end, I'm not going to get all hung up on it. For me, the spirit and the mind are the real gold in this reality. And when you come to realize this, there you hit upon the crux of the matter. Enjoy this dream world, but don't get so attached to it. But while we're here and in the flesh, as Madonna said, I'm a material girl living in a material world. Well, I'm neither of I'm neither one of those things. I'm not a girl and I'm not a material girl. But you get my point. While we're here and in the flesh incarnate, I do also enjoy being able to buy some things that I need, and even an item or two that I might enjoy. And the pleasure, by the way, of watching money flow and circulate through society is a true joy. That is the joy of power. And it is something like being connected to the cosmic all and to the primordial flowing forces of nature, infinite possibility, the raw powers of the chaos void, from whence and where we derive, or where we get our creative power from, I should say. To live as a demigod, the son of Zeus, in the flesh, is a matter of mind and acceptance, and not some kind of an ego trip. Not really. It is a real state of mind and knowing rather than simply believing. How this applies to you is a matter of where and when you choose to begin your journey. As I've said, and I do wish to usher you to my books, the best place to start is by reading my little ebook, Keep the Magic High. And this ebook is only $4.99. Download instantly as a PDF file. And by the way, if you use Apple or iOS, you can open your PDF files in iBooks. It's very easy to do. And enjoy it. Enjoy it on your handheld device. So the journey can begin for you there. Or you may read through my personal life adventures traveling around the world since the early days of my boyhood, both in America and Saudi Arabia, on up to my adult years as a wizard working in Japan, where I finally discovered how to put together the ultimate magical instrument, the miraculous prayer board. And finally, my trek back home to America, where I've brought some of these talents and methodology and philosophy back home here to our people. These ventures are written and illustrated in my Pathwork paperbacks, or you may get the ebooks. Simply purchase the trilogy, paperbacks, the collector's edition, or download the Vrilock Practical Guides VPG Trio ebook series to begin your quest to become a Vrilockian Power Master. That's right, you can be a Vrilock Power Master yourself. Own the journey. With a solid learning experience through my Audibles, I have audiobooks, ebooks, paperbacks, and my Insiders Club, also an upcoming academy that I'm working on for beginners of psionics. You need a little bit of extra help. You will have what you need to reference and study to become a real mastermind and remote influencer. Plus, for those seasoned magicians who have an interest in my work, as I've said, I do have some intermediate and advanced reading materials both in my .com shop, and there are also some elective files in my Insiders Club. Plus, I have personal journals, photocopies of letters between my former master, Charles Casamano, and myself. So wherever you're at, if you have a question about getting started in mind, money, mastery, or psionics itself, use the contact page on my website, vrilock.com/contact, and I'll get in touch with you at my earliest possible opportunity. Alrighty then. This concludes tonight's episode on Planet Vrilock, but do not despair, for we will be continuing the pursuit of mind, money, and influencing global monies. Oh God, it's so much fun! Oh, I relish this. I'm enjoying this so very much. Transforming the world and seeing it change, and the opportunities coming back for people. It's coming. Don't despair. We'll be talking more about this in upcoming episodes on the one and only Planet Vrilock Psionics podcast. So, thank you for joining me tonight on Planet Vrilock Psionics podcast, and until next time, as always, keep the magic high. This is Herr Doktor von Vrilock, signing out.